Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we are going to do the tier list for the new team builders. I've been asked about it a ton about which cards should you make because, well, you can only really make a few, and if you have all 6, that means you've probably dropped a lot into the game. So most players can only make maybe 1, 2 of them, so I wanted to play with as many of them as I possibly could to give you guys, again, some gameplay so that I can actually give some real feedback using these cards so that you guys don't make a mistake maybe for your team. Now I need to mention, guys, almost all of this is going to be team dependent. All of these cards are incredible. Yes, even Danny Briere. However, it is going to be different for every single player. For example, if you don't have a lot of strong centers and you're loaded on wing, then you're probably going to need to make Jay Beagle. Or maybe on defense, you've got a lot of right-handed defensemen, a lot of MSPs. Maybe you made Green and McAvoy and Uyghur and all of those guys, and you're lacking on left-handed defensemen. Gardiner's going to be better for you, and vice versa. So I want you guys to make sure you're aware of that. There isn't a one-size-fits-all for your team. There never should be. And first and foremost, though, guys, always use the players that you like the most. If you have a favorite team, and maybe you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan, make Jay Gardiner, all right? This is Hockey Ultimate Team. You're not, unless you're trying to make GWC, don't think that too much into this. So I just want to make sure we get that out of the way first. Now, let's get into the tier list. Now, a couple things I just want to touch on before we actually rate the players. First is, like I said, all of these are great cards. So if I say one is very good or higher in the S tier and one's in the A tier, it's not that they're bad. These are all the best cards in the game, guys. They are all incredible. They all have some of them have very individual things that they're elite at, and some just all around feel very good. If you are wondering what the cost is to make these right now, you obviously need 2 89s to make a 92. At the current cost right now, if you get all of your cards, if you're starting from scratch, you're looking at about 2,000 per on average. That's about 800,000 coins to make a team builder. Guys, I beg you, do not rush out and make team builders right now. The market is absolutely devastated for these. Some teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning, you're looking at about 5,000 coins per card. So that's going to skew the value making the Atlantic Division, for example, but it's just very, very expensive. Wait for Team of the Year because that's usually only a 1-week event. All right, guys, these team builders will always be there. All right, so that being said, let's get into it. Let's start with the A tier for the team builders. All right, in the A tier, the only one that I have not used. Now, I apologize. Making all of these is extremely expensive, even for someone like myself. I will eventually make Danny Briere, but he is the only one that I have not made, and there is a reason why. Obviously, there's a glaring issue that he's only 5'9", 174. I've talked to people in my Discord, and if you're not in my Discord, please get in there, man. There's almost 4,000 guys that are just addicted to Hockey Ultimate Team. Make sure you're in my Discord. Link is down below. That being said, he's an incredible card with a very good ability mix in wheels and elite edges. I talk about this a lot, that if you're going to activate wheels on someone because of the 10 ability points, make sure it's someone with very high speed, and Danny Briere's got that. Essentially, he's tied for the second fastest skater in the game behind the likes of X Factor Barzal and the, I believe, primetime Connor McDavid. I think there might be 1 or 2, maybe Power Up Icon Solana, but very, very few. That being said, guys, there is a lot of wingers that you can go out and get now that are a fraction of the price. For example, the spreadsheet hockey Matthew Barzal is very, very similar in terms of skating, and he's also not 5'9", 174. So the reason why Danny Briere is in the A tier is because of that. There will come a time, if you try and use Gaudreau right now, if you guys watched my video since launch of the game, Johnny Gaudreau is one of my favorite cards at the beginning of the game. What's happened now, though, guys, is a lot of the bigger players, they starting to give out truculence a little bit. A lot of the bigger guys are starting to get up higher in overall, and their speed is going up as well, and they just can't bump anyone off the puck, and they get thrown around in their when they are carrying it. And now, obviously, Danny Briere is elite at holding on to it with his speed and even the attributes that, puck control, things like that. But size is going to dictate most of that. So if there is one that I would rank at the bottom, like no matter what the situation you have, number 6, I like to do tiers, but 6 is Danny Briere. All right, now the rest of them, to be honest with you, are in the S tier. It's very difficult to separate these, but I want to talk about Jay Gardiner. As you can see, I played 26 games with him, all basically Hut champs and Division 1 rivals. Here's the thing about Jay Gardiner. One of the most fun cards I have used. Elite Edges on this card makes him feel a lot like the left-handed version of Cale Makar at the beginning of the game. Great card. And he even has the ability to bump players off the puck. 94 body checking, and he's 6'2", 203. So this is one of my favorite cards I've used so far just because of that. However, there are some other ones in this, in this release that I would rather prefer. Now, the only way in which Jake Gardiner should be made over some of the other options is, again, if you are in, let's say, the same situation as my no money spent team. You've got Uyghur, all right? You've got Green. You've got Cale Makar. You've got a lot of right-handed defensemen that are kind of locked up. You've put a lot of resources into them. You have to keep in mind, guys, if you're going to make a card, pay attention to what line it is going on. Jake Gardiner, in my opinion, is one of, if not the best left-handed defenseman in the game right now. However, there will be cards that will surpass him. This looks an awful lot. Honestly, if Roman Josi wins Team of the Year, he's probably going to be very similar to this card. So again, keep that in mind. This has been a great card to use. His cuts, his shot, his ability to bump players off the puck has been great. It's really been surprising, but I think that I would rather have some of the other options over Jake Gardiner unless my right-handed defenseman was completely stacked. So now, again, in the S tier, I kind of want to talk about just separating these. Like I said, they're all incredible cards. Brent, if you are making one defenseman, let's say you're making a forward, you're making a defenseman, Brent Seabrook should be your defenseman, okay? Again, unless you're in that situation where all the right-handers are stacked. Truculent, shutdown, no contest, and even Seeing Eye, which, again, I've talked about. I think it's actually a pretty good ability this year. He's got 93 acceleration, 91 speed. You could put buzzing on him, but I would leave workhorse. He plays faster than that. He is not flashy like Jake Gardiner is in terms of skating, but defensively, he's one of the best defensemen in the game, and that's going to hold a lot of value for quite some time. He's the best right-handed defenseman. I mean, other than Dobson. Like, Dobson is a freak of nature. That card is above and beyond, and you're never going to be able to get him now. So I know everyone in the comment section was like, when I talk about defense being the best defenseman, obviously Dobson is up there as the best, but that being said, Brent Seabrook should be the defenseman you are picking if you are picking one of them. He has been really, really fun to use. Not spectacular like the big flashy plays that Gardiner will make, but again, I think it's more important to be good in your own zone, and I've noticed Brent Seabrook's ability to knock people off the puck and really crush people, so he would be the defenseman that I would make. All right, next up, we need to talk about the two left-handed wingers, because we've got Todd Bertuzzi and then Gary Roberts, and they are very similar in stats and everything like that. I played a few games with Todd Bertuzzi, and I've talked to the people in my community. Here's the thing, very polarizing. He's either the best card you've ever used, or he's just very, very good, okay? Truculence, gold truculence. Again, on a forward, defensively, you knock anyone off the puck in this game with that. And again, in your offensive zone, when you're forechecking and someone's trying to hold onto the puck to break it out, Bertuzzi's just going to throw them off, all right? It's something that can't be overstated. However, if you get a few steps in before you actually hit someone with truculence, penalty. 5-minute major. I've seen people get a ton of that. It's not a ton of clips. Close quarters is a really good ability. So over close quarters. Bouncer and crease crasher, they have a spot, I guess. I think I'd probably wait or spend my ability points on other ones. But he does feel pretty agile. I was surprised at how agile he felt. But his speed wasn't anything that was mind-blowing, okay? It was good. Don't get me wrong. Todd Bertuzzi, for me, would not be the winger I would make. If you are looking to make one between Gary Roberts and Bertuzzi, I would go Roberts, and I'll explain why in a second. But this card is phenomenal, and I think if you're a Division 1 player, this is probably the one you should make just because of the playstyle you've got to play. But he's been very, very good, but a little bit stiffer than Gary Roberts. All right, now let's talk about Gary Roberts, because he has been one of the best cards I've used. And again, I've seen people say that they don't like him, and I've seen people say that they love him. He has a phenomenal quartet of abilities, guys. Gold close quarters. I love Big Tipper, Unstoppable Force, and Truculence. 93 speed, 93 acceleration. Here's the thing. He feels like he's got 99 speed right now. I don't know what it is. There are some players that just skate better in this game. Gary Roberts is one of them. You combine that with his great shot. Again, it's better than his stats indicate. He knocks everyone off the puck, and Silver Unstoppable Force allows me to hold on to it forever. If you are going to make a winger, in my opinion, Gary Roberts is the one I would make. Again, I just play squad battle, or I just play Hut Champs and Rivals, and he has gotten 22 points as a plus 17 in 26 games for me. This has been a phenomenal card, and if you are looking for a non-center winger, Gary Roberts is 100% the one that I would recommend. But again, I think that there's a big debate on Bertuzzi and Roberts. I've seen more Roberts praise than Bertuzzi praise. And then lastly, we got to talk about Jay Beagle, the most unspectacular of all of the releases. Again, this, if you don't know, this was supposed to be Travis Zajac, but he didn't sign into the Alumni Association. Not an EA thing. This is on the player. And Jay Beagle, I don't know how they landed on him. He's a very meta-style player at 6'3", 209. Again, his abilities are nothing crazy, and he looks like he is the most vanilla of all of the releases, okay? This has been, and I think should be, the safest and best pick that you guys can make if you can only make one. If you can only make one team builder, Jay Beagle is the one I would recommend. Again, big centerman is very good for defense as well as offense. You guys know how much I've talked about gold quick draw. I have never lost. I never lose face-offs with Jay Beagle. He's 99 on the draw on gold quick draw, which means you will win every single draw that the opponent doesn't do the exact counter for. It gives you 66% on the draw, no matter what, until other cards get up to 99 faceoffs, guys. He bumps everyone off the puck. He feels quick and agile, which is kind of surprising because he's only got 92 speed and acceleration. I use Big Tipper on him as well because I, go for tip shots all the time. If you can only make one of them, Jay Beagle is the one I would recommend. It is boring. He will get Team Builder card art as early as next week. So if that's the holdup, make sure that he will get that MSP style of card art. So that's the one that I would recommend is Jay Beagle. Now let's talk in general. Okay, again, they're all S tier, and even Danny Briere could probably be S tier as well. So the tier list is kind of scuffed in that sense, but I want to give specific scenarios. Okay, if you can only make one, I would recommend Jay Beagle. If you can make two, all right, I would go Jay Beagle and Gary Roberts, or if you really like truculence and whatnot, maybe Bertuzzi, but I would go Jay Beagle and Roberts. Okay, if you need a defenseman and you have, it's not very set on one side, you just have a mix of players, I would go Seabrook over Gardiner. All right, now if you've got stacked right-handed defenseman, I would go Gardiner. He is good enough and he has been really flashy to play with. So I'll show you guys how I'm lining up my team right now. Again, this is the God Squad. I have almost every good card in the game, and this is how I've landed it, and might be some surprises here. Again, this is my first line: Jay Beagle, Gary Roberts. Yes, Gary Roberts over X Factor McDavid. I know I'm insane, but this card feels as fast as Connor McDavid, and he does not lose the puck. And defensively, he knocks everyone off of it. I've loved this card until I don't. And McDavid, he could easily go back up to line one. But I'm just trying to show you guys how good I think Gary Roberts' card is. All right, got Bertuzzi down to the third line, because here is the issue. It's very difficult to make both Gary Roberts and Bertuzzi, because one of them is probably going on the third line because everyone's got X Factor Connor McDavid, and that's just not good value. Okay, so if you're trying to decide between, you've got X Factor McDavid and you have Gary Roberts, let's say, and you want to know between Todd Bertuzzi or a defenseman, understand that these are the two best left-handed and right-handed defensemen in the game other than Dobson, and they are going to play way more impactful minutes than someone that might be on your third line. So something just to keep in mind, guys. I hope this helps you. Again, let me know in the comment section down below who you've used and who you've enjoyed. For anyone wanting to know where I would put Briere once I make him, he'd go third line behind Mario Lemieux and Nathan McKinnon. So there you go. All right, guys, that is going to do it for the tier list. I hope this helps out. Let me know what you think. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.